we are in what we call the Languedoc part of southwest of France. Usually Languedoc is known for having an important sunny influence on the wines. But Brau, we are located on the northwest part of Languedoc. And because we are really close to this Black Mountain, it gives us a lot of freshness. So we are doing wines that are very fresh, low in alcohol.
Let's switch over to the south of France and the wine region that you're planted in. Can you tell us things about the region and then how the terroir of the region affects the aromas and the taste profile of your wines?
We are in the southwest part of France, and we are nearby a city called Carcassonne. Carcassonne, it's a medieval city. It's where the movie with Kevin Costner, Robin Hood, it's 20 years ago, has been shot. And Carcassonne is 80 kilometers from the Mediterranean Sea. And it's in a corridor between Atlantic and Mediterranean Sea. We do have on the left part the Pyrenees mountain, and on the right part a Black Mountain. And therefore it's a very interesting area because we are exactly at the border of two climates, one Mediterranean climate and one Atlantic climate. So we have two influences. We have a lot of wind. It's hot, cold, windy, and we have the freshness of these two mountains. So this allows us to grow a lot of varietals with the different varietals. We do have like Mediterranean varietals like Syrah, like Grenache. We do have Atlantic varietals like Merlot, like Cabernet Sauvignon, like Cabernet Franc. And on top of that, we have some more esoteric varietals like Fer Cervado or Caladoc. These are varietals that you find only in these areas. So the terroir here is more on calcareous and schist. We are in what we call the Languedoc part of southwest of France. Usually Languedoc is known for having an important sunny influence on the wines. But Brau, we are located on the northwest part of Languedoc. And because we are really close to this Black Mountain, it gives us a lot of freshness. So we are doing wines that are very fresh, low in alcohol, and we are located precisely on an appellation, it's AOP, called Cabardes. Cabardes is one of the smallest appellations in France. It's only 28 winemakers, women and men, because we do have several women. And the scope, the requirements for this appellation is unique in France because it requires you, when you want to make a Cabardes wine, it requires you to have 50% of the grapes that comes from the Mediterranean area and 50% from the Atlantic area. So basically, you must have, like, let's say, a Syrah and Cabernet Sauvignon blends together to have a Cabardes. So another particularity of the area is that many winemakers like me, we like to have the AOP approach, which is a bit more traditional, and is asking you a lot of requirements, technical requirements. And at the same time, we have the freedom to do a lot of different types of wines, not under the AOP label, but as a Vin de France. And here with Vin de France, this is where I do like natural wines, where I do single varietal or this kind of wines.
So you have freedom to choose whether you want to do a more varietal or more blend, entirely your choice. And it sounds like some things you stay more traditional and some you have a little more fun with. Is that a...
Exactly.
Okay.
It's exactly that. And this double approach is actually more and more developed by the young winemakers, because originally, majority of the people were doing the more traditional AOP approach. But now we have seen that as consumers, they have different moment of consumption, and you may want maybe to start aperitivo with a very light and very easy to drink wine, which will be a single varietal, and maybe the dinner goes on, and at a certain times you want a more full body wine, more complex, and this is where you will choose an AOP, for instance.
And people have been listening to this and reading it and watching. And so obviously they're excited. They want to taste your wine. Tell us how to learn more about your winery. Tell us where we can go to buy your bottles and browse your bottles and learn more about the bottles themselves. Where can we find you?
So Brau Winery, it's the oldest organic winery in France, certified winery in France. We are exporting in 14 countries, Asia, Europe, and now we are starting in the US. We've been distributed in New York at Astor Wine on Lafayette Street. And as we speak, I'm developing the distribution in different states and expanding the distribution in New York. So we are in the early stage of distribution in the US. And the last time we met, I was in New York for that, in order to meet real partners, the right partners, because that's like what you're doing. Our business is, or our partners, I may say, carry a story. And I need to, everywhere we are successful is when we have a woman or a man who understood and is as passionate as us on explaining the story and why we are doing that, and what is our DNA, or what is our wine DNA.
Before we go, is there anything that we haven't discussed that you'd like to add to the conversation?
Just one small word on how the social network like Instagram have changed the relationship people have with wine and winery and winemaker. And we are quite active on Instagram. We have a Brau Wine account, and it's amazing to see how it has created connection and proximity, and a fantastic way for us to explain all the aspects of our business and what we are doing. And it's really interesting, and I think it has helped a lot of new wine drinkers to enter that, and new generation to have a different perception. It's the same with Google. It's something funny, but as we are close to a very touristic place, a lot of people use Google to recommend them when they want to visit the vineyards. And we are very well ranked on Google, with more than hundreds of comments from people from around the world. And that brings so many tourists from all the nations to our tiny vineyards. You know, it's a tiny place, and without Google, you would never have people from China, from the US, from South Africa. I mean, it's funny.
That's beautiful. All right, one more time. Thank you so much for your time. I've enjoyed talking with you more, and I can't wait to taste your wines again. So
Thank you, Joey. Thank you. It was a pleasure.